I'm struggling with whether I can actually go through with this, knowing full well the pain I'm about to inflict on someone who truly doesn't deserve it. But as I sit here, staring at the large, carefully framed photo of me and Mark on our wedding day hanging above the fireplace, my dry eyes tell the story of the emotional storm I've already weathered. The tears came earlier, when I was wrestling with whether or not to even have this conversation. And now, the decision is made. I have to do it. But that doesn't stop me from wanting to run out the door and disappear. Mark's going to be heartbroken. I know that. Sitting beside me on the couch, Jason gently squeezes my hand, giving me the courage I desperately need. I glance over and give him a small, grateful smile. Over the past 15 months of our affair, I've slowly but surely fallen in love with him. And I know, every ounce of love I've given Jason was love I once gave to Mark. The moment I felt like I was cheating by making love to my own husband, that was when I knew the countdown to this day had officially started. I'm dreading it. But I also know I'll feel a twisted sort of relief when it's done. I'll finally be free from the exhausting act, pretending I'm still just as in love with Mark as he clearly is with me. Pretending I'm going on girls' nights, on business trips, or shopping, when I'm really sneaking off to meet Jason. It's been a heavy secret to carry. And I see it now, etched in the worry lines on my face every morning. Yeah. I want to be free of it. I glance over at the bookcase, checking to make sure the baseball bat I quietly tucked there earlier is still in place. Mark's views on cheating aren't exactly subtle. Ever since our kids moved out, he's been reading these short stories online, ones where unfaithful wives face serious consequences. Some of those stories caught me off guard. The husbands didn't just get angry, they got violent. I once asked him about it, and he brushed it off, just stories his coworkers passed around. Said they were talking about how badly the system screws over men in divorce court. I don't think Mark is violent by nature. But if he's suddenly face to face with the guy who's been sleeping with his wife? I'm not naive enough to think he wouldn't snap. Mark's bigger than Jason. Fitter, stronger, more commanding. He's a top exec at a biomedical firm. Jason's just an artist. And while I don't believe Mark would hurt me, I know I'll need to stand in his way if things get ugly. I'm not doing this to provoke a fight. I just need to get the truth out, and let Jason slip out if things go south. I hear Mark's car pulling into the driveway, and my stomach knots. My chest is tight, heart racing, and I force myself to swallow. Deep breaths. I wonder if he's already suspicious. He has to recognize the unfamiliar car outside. Jason's. He's probably read stories just like this one. I try to calm myself. The front door opens, and Mark walks in. His eyes immediately settle on Jason, eyebrows lifted in confusion. I stay seated. I don't greet him with a kiss. I can't, not in front of Jason. And Mark notices. I see it on his face. Still, he walks over, hand outstretched. Mark, he says. Jason hesitates, but eventually shakes it. Mark wipes his hand on his jeans after. I recognize that move. He does it when he's uncomfortable. Jason quietly returns to the couch. Mark cracks open a beer, takes a sip, and sits across from us, setting the connects to our glasses on the coffee table. The tension is suffocating. My nerves are stretched so tight it feels like one sharp word could snap me in half. I can't meet Mark's eyes. My gaze drifts down. He's dressed super casually. When did that start? Why am I even noticing that now? I push the thought aside. This is it. The moment I destroy a genuinely good man. A great father. A provider. A community man. My first love, but not my last. I need to talk to you, Mark, I say quietly. His face stays neutral, blank. That's how he handles stress. Cold logic. Sharp thinking. He's always been better at that than me. Even after all the mental rehearsals, I still stumble over my nerves. I need you to know. I begin, my voice unsteady. You haven't done anything wrong. I clear my throat, still avoiding his eyes. All these years, my friends have been jealous of our marriage. And honestly, they should be. You've been an amazing husband. I laugh nervously. He doesn't. Trying to soften the blow, I admit that I was scared to even talk to my friends about this, because I know they'd be angry with me for hurting him. Even now, as I stare just past his shoulder, I can't bring myself to look him in the eye. I don't see even the faintest flicker of a smile or softening in Mark's face. His lips move, but he's completely still, like a statue. Then he asks me, in the calmest voice, "Are you about to hurt me?" It's a simple question, but it hits hard. It pulls my eyes to his, and for the first time since he walked in, I meet his gaze. His stare is unblinking. Cold. Like he's examining something under a microscope. It breaks something in me. I look away, unsettled. I take a breath and tell him the truth. I say I'm sorry, but I've fallen out of love with him. And I've fallen in love with Jason. I don't want to hurt him more than I have to, but I need a divorce. Jason and I want to be together. Saying it out loud, it changes something. The words are out now. No turning back. I try to read his face, hoping for something: shock, anger, sadness. A clenched jaw, wet eyes, a trembling lip, maybe even a clenched fist. Anything. But there's nothing. Nothing. His total lack of reaction terrifies me more than if he'd shouted or cried. I flick a glance toward the bookcase, where the bat is still tucked behind a stack of books. The silence is suffocating. I have to say something, anything, just to fill it. Everything I rehearsed is gone. Useless now. I tell Mark that I never wanted it to come to this. I tried to protect him from the truth for as long as I could. Jason and I were so careful, on purpose. We didn't want him to find out until we absolutely had to tell him. And now is that time. It wasn't about disrespect. It was about guilt. About how deeply I still cared about Mark as a person. That guilt kept me from seeing Jason more often. We avoided each other more than we wanted to. I tell Mark that. "You mean you avoided me?" he says flatly. I can't answer. I can't meet his eyes. I've run out of lies. I respect him too much to throw more half-truths his way. But hearing him say it like that, so blunt, so small and ugly, it makes it all feel that much more real. And gross. Still, I don't argue. I don't try to clean it up. The silence stretches again, and I can feel Mark drawing his own conclusions. There's nothing left to say. Even apologizing feels pointless now. We both know I'm hurting him. And we both know I chose to. The weight in the room is unbearable. I want to bolt. My nerves are so raw, I feel like my skin is crawling. Mark may not be screaming or crying, but I know him. I know how tightly he holds things in. He's unraveling, just silently. I brace myself for whatever comes next. I've been trying to guess how he might react. None of the scenarios were good. He looks straight at me and finally says, "Okay, Chelsea." It takes me a second to process it. "Okay?" I echo, confused. Is that it? He's just agreeing to a divorce? I assume he means he wants out so he can go find someone else. His tone is still calm. Expression blank. I lean back, too stunned to reply. This wasn't one of the reactions I prepared for. Not even close. It's like I've been erased in under 10 minutes. No raised voice, no angry questions. No tears. Just nothing. After 28 years of marriage, of building a life, raising kids, facing every challenge together, he's not even going to ask why. It feels like I meant less to him than I thought. Like I just got replaced with silence. I open my mouth, trying to speak. Something. Anything. But I have to tread carefully. I don't want to lose Jason in the process. This is a delicate line to walk. I ask Mark if it really means nothing to him, after all the years we spent together. He looks at me and calmly says I already left him emotionally. Why wouldn't he agree to let me go? He says fighting to keep me would just ruin what good memories we have left. He'd rather we part ways peacefully. It's an answer. Just not the one I was expecting, or hoping for. Before I can say more, he adds that I probably have divorce papers for him to sign. And he's right. I do. They're signed and notarized, sitting in Jason's car. We honestly didn't think things would get this far tonight. We expected shouting, maybe tears. Not this. I start to get up to go get the papers, but Jason stands first and quietly heads out. I watch him leave. He's feeling the weight of it, too. I can see it in the way his shoulders drop as he walks out. In the quiet that follows, I turn to Mark again and tell him I'm sorry. Truly. I never wanted to hurt him. He stands up, and my eyes instinctively flick back toward the bookshelf, toward the bat. But Mark doesn't go for it. Instead, he just says, "If you were really sorry, you wouldn't have done it." Then he walks into the kitchen and grabs another beer. Just like that, the conversation ends. When Jason returns, he's holding the manila envelope at his side. Mark takes 2 quick steps toward him. I feel a jolt of panic. Jason stumbles backward, loses his footing, and lands against the couch with a soft thud. The envelope's still in his hand. Mark glances at me then. His face is red. Embarrassed. Maybe ashamed. Like he just realized he's not exactly handling this as gracefully as he imagined. I try to show Jason, with just a look, that I don't care about the awkwardness, that I love him. But when I turn back to Mark, his face is unreadable. Still cold. Still detached. And I honestly don't know if he's going to snap and go after Jason or not. To be safe, I tell Mark that our friend Melanie knows we're here. I've asked her to call the police if she doesn't hear from us by 8. Then I add that if he needs to direct his anger somewhere, let it be at me. Not Jason. Mark looks at me, and his voice is even. "Oh, I do blame you," he says. "You're the one who made all those vows to me, not him." Then, still calm, he says he doesn't want Jason to suffer, at least not any more than he already will. That throws me. "Why would Jason suffer?" I ask. "What do you mean?" Mark gives me this look, gentle, almost like he's explaining something I'm just too naive to get. It's the way he talks to people when he's being patient, even kind. Then he lays it out. He says that at 50, I'm past the age where I could give Jason a child. That Jason's stepping into a future where he'll never get to hear, "Daddy," for the first time, never watch a child take their first steps, never be the guy teaching someone to ride a bike or throw a ball or drive a car. He says Jason will never be a hero to a little girl, never be a role model to a son. And then he goes further, says our kids probably won't even speak to Jason once they know what happened. Once they find out the truth about us. His words hit me like a slap. I actually shiver. I'd been so focused on my own feelings, the mess I was in, the fear of losing Jason. I hadn't even stopped to think about what this would do to our children. I try to recover. "You don't have to tell them," I say quickly, hoping maybe that part can still be controlled. Mark's response is immediate. "So now you want me to lie to our kids the same way you lied to me?" I can't even look at him. I just lower my head. But he's not done. He tells me that Jason's going to marry a woman he can never fully trust. That no matter how much I say I love him, the fact remains, I was capable of hurting someone who trusted me. I hid it. I lied. I acted like I was still a loving wife while sneaking around behind my husband's back. Mark says, "Just wait until you tell Jason you're working late. Or going out with friends. Using the same lines you used to sneak away with him. What do you think he'll feel then?" Then he turns the spotlight directly on me. Starts painting this ugly picture of what's coming. He talks about how in 5 years, my looks will start to fade. But Jason? He'll still be the lean, good-looking guy in his early 40s. He wonders how long it'll take before Jason starts noticing the flaws, my PMS moods, my loud snoring, my quirks and habits. That's when I snap. I leap to my feet, ready to throw it all back in his face. I tell him he's not exactly perfect either, that he snores too, and maybe he forgot how I always kept our place looking like a magazine cover. I start to list his faults, my anger bubbling over. But then I hear Jason gasp. I turn and look at him. And it hits me, Mark's words are getting to him. They're sinking in. I suddenly feel this desperate urge to get Jason out of there. Now. Mark just shrugs. I collapse back onto the couch, overwhelmed. I'm angry, humiliated, and hurt. Is this really what Mark thinks of me? Has he been holding all of this in for years? There's so much I want to say. After all the effort I put into hiding the affair, not to hurt him, but to protect him, all I want now is to make him feel some of the pain I've been carrying. But I can't. The words don't come. I just watch him take another long pull from his beer before he rips open the envelope. I stare down at my hands. I don't want to look at Jason. I don't know if he's looking at me, but I hope not. Mark mutters something about the house, about how it was his long before he ever met me. He says I might get half of the bank account, but probably not as much as I think. He talks about the retirement accounts too, how I might get a piece of those, but not until he actually retires. 17 years from now. I start wondering if Jason and I can really handle this. The financial reality of it. I had promised him things would be okay, that we'd be stable. And then Mark hits me with a brutal line. You know the difference between an artist and a pizza? A pizza can feed a family. The silence after that feels endless. Finally, Mark glances up from the documents and says everything looks mostly fair, except for the house. He says my lawyer's going to charge me a fortune fighting for it. Then he asks, So, what now? I mention that I'll get a lawyer, and Mark nods, considering whether he should pack a few of his things tonight. But I cut in. I tell him I want him to leave. Now. He pauses, then suggests maybe he can drop my stuff off at Jason's place next weekend. He plans to change the locks in 2 days, so coming back later won't be an option. If I realize I've forgotten anything, he says, I can just email him. He adds that I can take all the photos off the walls, except for the ones of the kids. We'll divide those. But he makes it clear, he doesn't want a single reminder of me left in the house. Not one, except for one picture, just one. The photo from our cruise last year. He says I can't have it. I blink, confused. That one? It was taken just a few months into my relationship with Jason, when things were still new, when I wasn't yet in love with him. Back then, I still wanted to be with Mark, still enjoyed being close to him. That photo shows a woman smiling, a genuine smile, after a night of love with her husband. Why does he want that one? While I'm still turning that over in my mind, Mark shifts his attention, for the first time all night, directly to Jason. His voice is steady as he asks him for his address. He starts with 42 Belmont, then corrects himself. No, you moved to 58 Gravela, didn't you? I freeze. What? Mark knows Jason's new address. He's known for months. 4 at least. My thoughts start spiraling. When did he find out? How? We were careful. So careful. I rewind every moment. Our dinners, weekends, holidays, birthdays, quiet mornings, family time with the kids. Not once had I noticed a shift in him. Not one hint. I stare at Mark like I've never seen him before. This is the man I've spent almost my entire adult life with. The one who held my hand in the delivery room. The one I nursed through the flu, and who nursed me through 2 miscarriages and a medical scare that still haunts me. I thought I knew him like the back of my hand. But now he looks like a stranger. I've been thinking I was so clever. So careful. Such a skilled actress. But Mark? He was better. So much better. He knew. He's known. For months. And he never let on. I wonder, if he really loved me, could he have hidden it this well? Then the other question hits me harder. If I had truly loved him, would I have been able to hide it so well? Apparently not. Because Mark knew. I look at him again, but I don't see the man standing in front of me. I see the man from 2 weeks ago. The one who made love to me gently. Who whispered to me, cherished me. All while knowing. And me? I was faking every word, every smile, every kiss. I remember fighting my own guilt, silently apologizing to Jason with every moan, pretending I wanted to be there when all I wanted was to wash Mark off of me. And still, I climaxed. My body betrayed me. Afterward, I lay there beside him in silence, unable to sleep, filled with shame. I had betrayed both of them. Lied to both of them. One with my words. The other with my actions. I think back on all those nights, all those moments, when my heart wasn't pounding from love or passion, but from fear. Fear of being found out. Fear of slipping up. Stress over lies, over every carefully measured expression. And it was pointless. Mark had known all along. I'd been wrecking myself to keep up the lie, to spare him the pain. And he'd been playing along. Just waiting. Did he ever love me at all? Or has he been pretending to? For a month? 4? All 28 years? Everything he said to Jason, all those brutal things, was that what he really thought of me? Is that how he's seen me all this time? I want to cry. He doesn't. He's bone dry. I'm the one swallowing tears, trembling with rage and rejection. I reach for my glass of Chardonnay, anything to kill the burning in my throat, to rinse out the bitter taste of this moment. But it's sour now. Spoiled. Mark steps over, calmly takes the glass from my hand. He's already holding Jason's half-finished one in the other. Then he turns and heads toward the kitchen, his kitchen now. Over his shoulder, he says, "Better hurry. Jason's already at the car." That's it. That's my cue. I glance toward the door and realize he's right. Jason's gone. He didn't wait. Didn't come back for me. We're not walking out of here together. Not as a couple. Not as anything. 4 years later. I closed the magazine in my lap and suddenly realized. I couldn't remember a single article or ad I'd just flipped through, not that it mattered. The magazine was probably outdated anyway. Sure enough, when I checked the cover, it was 3 years old. I thought to myself, seriously? A busy, well-funded medical practice like this, and they can't even spring for a current subscription. I tossed it back onto the stack and grabbed another, settling in for another round of board flipping while waiting for my name to be called. "Mrs. Smith?" I didn't respond at first. It took the nurse calling it a second time for me to startle, realizing she meant me. Even after 4 years, I still wasn't used to being called Mrs. Smith instead of Mrs. Brown. I stood up, slung my bag over my shoulder, and followed her down the hallway to my doctor's room. Dr. Jones greeted me with a warm, "Hello, Mrs. Smith. What can I help you with today?" I told him I was there to get my implantat replaced. It had been 5 years. He nodded, said he saw the note on my chart, then gently suggested I discuss the option of a vasectomy with my husband. "Share the responsibility," he said, with a polite smile. I smiled back. "Maybe next time," I replied, keeping my tone pleasant. But inside, I was gloating just a little. Jason and I had gone back and forth about this. For months, it had been a standoff, me arguing that I shouldn't keep pumping hormones into my body when he could just get a simple, outpatient procedure. I'd pointed out that my only non-hormonal alternative was having my tubes tied, which was a way bigger deal than what he'd need to go through. He wasn't having it. During one of our more heated arguments, he told me he'd had the mumps as a kid. I suggested he get his sperm tested, just in case. He refused. Too stubborn. But I'm stubborn too. So, without telling him, I got a little creative. I managed to collect a sample, yes, I did it properly, and sent it off for testing. Turns out, Jason isn't just low count. He's sterile. Not a single viable swimmer in the batch. At first, I felt victorious. I was going to confront him with the results and win the argument once and for all. But then I took a breath, and some part of me backed down. I didn't want to keep fighting. I didn't want a combative partner. I wanted a husband who actually wanted to make love again, not just go through the motions. And honestly, I remembered how nice it was not having to deal with periods. So I decided screw it. I'd just get the implant replaced. It's not forever. Dr. Jones was still talking. I realized I'd zoned out and apologized, asking him to repeat himself. He said there was a newer version of the implant he could give me, something called a Vanguardian. Not only was it a contraceptive, but it also tracked my pulse and a bunch of other health metrics throughout the day. So if you're ever feeling off, he explained, just pause by one of our scanners, and we can get a full internal readout of what's been going on since your last visit. Sounds like something out of Star Trek. I joked, laughing. What about side effects? Am I going to balloon up or start growing a beard? And does it stop your period like Implanin? No, he assured me. It's even gentler than Implanin, but with all the benefits, like lighter or even no bleeding. Okay, sounds good, I said. He turned to his monitor, clicking through icons, then suddenly frowned and rubbed the back of his neck. Huh. That's odd. What is it? I asked, leaning forward. How long did you say you've had your implant in? He asked, still staring at the screen. 5 years. He looked confused. That can't be right. You already have a Vanguardian implanted. Your medical records are showing a full sync. What? I said, blinking. No, I haven't even been to a doctor in at least 2 years. He turned back to the screen, his profile now visibly pale. There's data going back 4 years. He murmured. And audio files. Wave files, specifically. Audio files? I echoed. He said there had to be some kind of mix-up. Maybe someone else's Vanguardian had somehow gotten linked to my patient ID. But even that didn't explain the timeline. These devices hadn't even been approved until 18 months ago. Then he saw something else. A Google map embedded in the records, marked with a pin for the clinic. His brows furrowed deeper. To be sure, he said, we need to check your implant directly. My head was spinning as I followed him to the examination bench and lay down. I turned my head away. I've always been a little squeamish about needles and medical stuff. It's definitely a Vanguardian, Dr. Jones said, and I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. It's the same model we use, he added, just slightly longer and wider than normal. I swiveled my head back and looked at him, then glanced at the screen where he was comparing my implant to the standard image. And that's when I saw it. Vanguardian. Seeing it written out like that triggered something in the back of my mind. I knew that name. That was the alias someone used on the amateur fiction site where Mark used to read those intense, often disturbing stories about cheating wives getting caught. Was it a coincidence? The rest of the appointment was a blur after that. We'll get to the bottom of this, Mrs. Smith. Dr. Jones reassured me. There's probably just some cross data. Maybe your old implant still had trace signals. Or who knows, maybe you were part of some kind of early access test group. I'll get our tech team to dig into this Vanguardian tag and follow up with you. I nodded numbly, then made my way back to the front desk. I paid the bill, barely registering the transaction, and walked to my car. Once I had my hands on the wheel, my mind started racing. Bits of past conversations suddenly came flooding back into my already spinning head. There was one line I remembered crystal clear, something Mark once said. There's a clause in my contract that gives the company ownership of any research or invention I come up with, even if I work on it at home, in my own time. I can't even patent anything for a year after I resign. He'd always been passionate about research and innovation. That was his thing. His genius. In my head I saw him again, sitting on the couch across from me and Jason that night. Worn jeans, casual polo shirt. Calm, unreadable face. I remembered how shocked I was at how little money was in our accounts when we divided things, and how firm he was about keeping that one cruise photo. The one from our Caribbean trip. That cruise happened 3 months into my affair with Jason. The same trip where I'd gotten the implant inserted, at Mark's suggestion, no less. He'd said he didn't want me dealing with my period while we were on vacation. I thought it was sweet at the time. Thought he was being thoughtful. But now I wondered. This clinic I'd visited today, it wasn't the same one I used to go to. I'd switched doctors after the divorce. The old one, Dr. Black, was a family friend. His dad had inspired Mark to go into medical research in the first place. Going back there would have been unbearable. But Mark, he must have known about Jason from the very beginning. Somehow, he got Dr. Black to implant a device, his device, into me. The Vanguardian. Mine had a GPS tracker. It recorded audio files. I started to feel sick. It couldn't be legal. I didn't remember consenting to anything like that. But I must have signed something without reading it closely. My stomach twisted at the thought. I should have sued Dr. Black. I had no idea what I was signing back then. And now? He's retired, living it up in Brazil, apparently. His new wife is from there, much younger too. Can he even be extradited from Brazil? That's where people used to hide during World War II, war criminals even. No extradition treaty. Probably not a coincidence. But why create an implant with GPS tracking and audio recording? That couldn't have just been about keeping tabs on me, could it? I start turning the thought over in my mind. And then it hits me. Military. Yeah. Military use. That kind of tech would be invaluable, especially for them. I remember Dave once telling me about a device he helped develop for diabetic soldiers. It could regulate blood sugar without the need for daily injections. If he could do that, then building something that tracks and records wouldn't be much of a stretch. Everything suddenly started clicking into place. It must have happened around the time of our cruise, or shortly after. That's probably when Dave quit his job. That would explain our low savings back then. We were living off them and I didn't even notice. I was always using my credit card. Dave handled all the bills. And that cruise photo? Maybe it wasn't just a keepsake to him. Maybe it was a marker of something more. His goodbye to one life and quiet hello to another. He had that picture framed himself. Insisted on hanging it in the hallway by the coat rack. I remember I wanted to move it once, maybe give it to the kids or reframe it. But he pushed back. Strongly. Now I realize why. It was probably the scanner. That hallway frame? That wasn't just decor. That was a surveillance tool. I feel like I've been punched in the chest. He knew I might one day give that photo away, share it with someone who could have figured it out. That's why he insisted on keeping it where he could control it. The layers of it all leave me completely stunned. It's surreal. Like something out of a Jason Bourne or James Bond film. And yet, deep in my gut I know it's all true. It explains everything. No wonder Mark didn't go for blood in the divorce. He'd already exacted his revenge, quietly, methodically. Financially. He left me with just enough to keep moving, while locking away the real money behind corporate walls and shell companies. And now? There's nothing I can do. Dr. Black is off the grid, and Mark, he's probably got my consent on paper somewhere, tucked in a folder with a smug smile. It's been almost 4 years since the divorce. I'll eventually get a portion of his retirement, sure. But the money coming in from Vanguardian? That's hidden. Filtered through channels I'll never touch. I place a hand on my arm, right where the new implant sits beneath my skin. I can't even tell Jason. Things between us have already been strained lately. Adding this? Telling him how deeply my ex-husband deceived me? No. I can't. These days, Mark lives in the Algarve. The kids talk about his beachfront villa like it's paradise. They visit him often, rave about the ocean, the view, the food. We hardly speak anymore. I'm still lost in thought when I pull into the graveled driveway of the small, rundown cottage Jason and I share. I don't even remember the drive home. I hope I didn't run any red lights or speed traps. The last thing I need on top of everything else is a traffic fine. I walk up to the front door, unlock it, and step inside on autopilot. Jason's on the couch. He looks up. Chelsea, we need to talk. Only then do I notice he's not alone. He's holding hands with a young woman, can't be older than 30, and she's very pregnant. Like ready to pop pregnant. 2 glasses of Chardonnay sit on the table in front of them.